Hello everyone, this is Johannes.
And this is Cinema.
And you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And today we are taking a look at Coffee Traders.
This is a game from Capstone Games and from designers Anders Spiel and Rolf Sagel.
It plays from 3 to 5 players in about 2 hours.
Yeah, and there's also a 2-player variant. We have not played that, so just so you know that out of the way. If you're looking for the 2-player experience, you will not find it here. So just so you know, so you don't have to watch the whole video to find that out. We're pretty nice that way.
Yeah.
But if you are here and you still want to watch it, or even though you don't want to watch it, we all talk about other videos for 2 players. So if you are here and you have not subscribed yet, you can do so now by
clicking the subscribe button.
That would make us super happy. Please leave a like and a comment below if you watched the video and you have something to say. If you don't have something to say, you can still write something like, hello, I can see the video, or something like that.
Yeah.
Looking forward to all of those comments.
I have nothing to say.
I have nothing to add to this video, but here's a comment. Thank you very much. So, Coffee Traders. Yes, this is, and I've talked about this so many times, it comes to the point now where I just have to say that this is one of the 2 special games from this year, from Capstone Games, are just doing a great job of making very good games in the medium and heavy Euro category, which obviously is some of our favorite kind of games.
Yes.
And Coffee Traders is, if you don't know, the second design from the designers who made Wildcatters quite a few years ago, which is a very, very good game. In Coffee Traders, you are Coffee Traders. You are going to be playing it's like 3 years, but it's 5 years in between them, so I don't know how long. It doesn't really matter. You're playing 3 rounds of the game. Each round is going to have different phases. You are going to go through the phases. They are on your player board, very neatly laid out. So you're going to work basically from the left of the player board to the right. You're going to do cooperative actions, which sound like it's a co-op games, but it's not at any point. Just like things are called cooperatives, and that got me really turned around when I started learning the game, because there's 4 cooperative actions, and I didn't understand anything about that. But it's not a co-op game. So you're gonna make plantations around different cooperatives. You are gonna send workers to work there so that they actually make some coffee. You are gonna maybe get some donkeys, because you need donkeys to move around in these spaces, and you can get income. There's different things you can do. Those are the things you can do. Then you're gonna continue on in the round. You're gonna send out contractors either to Antwerp to get in harvest the coffees from the different spaces, or you can build buildings around the world to get bonuses and also be the best in those areas, because obviously there's a real majority game at the end of the game. And these are the things you're going to do basically. You're going to place these buildings, place the workers, trying to harvest coffee so that you can deliver coffee to contracts, and you can deliver coffee to different coffee bars around the world. I enjoy that they have Oslo from Norway in the game. I think they might, I don't know how many coffee bars there were in Oslo like in 1970. So I might have just looked who drinks the most coffee in the world, and Norwegians are in the top of that. So that might be the reason why they have done that. And you're sending different coffee to that, which is kind of like a race to get them, because when I fill in an order in the coffee bars, you can't, but you have your own contracts which you can fill in, so those are like more of your own little things. There's timing in that. There's a real majority in trying to deliver to the most to the different coffee bars. There's milestones you can try to do if you are really good, because those are usually very hard. And there's just so much stuff to do, so little time, and no resources at all to do anything with it.
Yes.
And that's
basically
what you're trying to do. So you score points. It's not like a point salad game, but then at the end you score points for almost everything you do. You score points for all the buildings you built, you score points for all the different contracts you've done, you score points for the area majority of the 5 areas, you score points for I think there's 6 different coffee bars. Those are going to score. You're going to score for the milestones. There's many ways to get points, but it's not so easy to get those points at all.
Yeah.
So that is a rambling overview of what you do in Coffee Traders. Let's talk about something else. What should we talk about now?
Like, the first off is how it looks.
Yes, that's correct. That's what we do in these videos, the first thing.
And I think it looks really nice on the table. It has a very nice table presence. I think the player boards are awesome. They're very neatly packed with information, because there's a lot of information, and it's easy to follow along on the steps, and everything has like an assigned space, and there's some additional rules and such. I think there's one issue that we had a little problem with, and that's a mismatch with the 2 colors. It's a dark purple color, which looks a little bit different on your board than on the main board, but they have some symbols also. So once you kind of get the hang of it, it's fine. But sometimes when I say purple, you're just like, okay, is it dark purple or light purple?
Yeah, and it's
Which
like
one do you
almost a
want?
blue, light purple. I think it's hard. Sometimes I have more usually trouble seeing like the different colors. I'm getting old and my eyes don't work anymore, and it's hard to see those colors sometimes. I'm happy they have the symbols so that it's possible to play if you're colorblind. I understand it's hard to find enough colors because you have 5 players colors in the game, and you can't use those colors for things in the game because that I hate. And then there's 5 different colors,
too.
so that's 10 colors. But
Yes.
I would have loved them to do colors that was a bit less similar because it's kind of hard to see them.
Yeah.
One thing like this is, I'm going to talk about this in all the videos for eternity. There's no player aids, and this is one of the games which I 80 to 90% think it's okay because you have almost everything you need on the player board in front of you. One thing is the 5th phase, which is a contract phase, is the one that's played reverse turn order. And the only place you can see that is in the turn order marker on the board. And the board is huge, so if you sit in someplace on the board, it's hard to see that little symbol. I saw that for the first time, the third time we played the game. And we don't use that because I don't really understand why that's there. Why do you, after the first phase, it's very easy to understand which phase you are in because that player board, so there's really no reason to have that on the board. And then it's hard to remember that that's going backwards but when you teach the game. And there's just a couple of things that could have been clearer that way. But all in all, like, this is a big, heavy game. It's not that hard to remember things because you see, oh, the first phase, what can I do? Oh, I can do these 4 actions. When you get into the symbols, and the symbols are pretty okay, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like when you have such a big like player board, I think it's really nice that they've added some of the like most important rules there, so you don't need a player aid. But yeah, I agree. Most of the symbols in the game are very clear. I think they've done a great job with that.
Let's talk about this. This is a rulebook, or it's trying to be a rulebook, while it's also trying to be a coffee trading handbook. Because this is a rulebook that's trying too hard to be a thematic document. Trying too hard to be something, I don't know, like in the middle, like there's so many lines and examples and things pointing over here, that's from there's example up there. And then there's just some random page for notes, and then there's some coffee stains. Like there's a lot of things that's nice. But the problem for me, and you also read through a bit of the rulebook, or basically you tried to find something while we're playing the game.
Couldn't do it.
That is not very easy. Because there's really so few symbols and pictures. There's like very much text, and there's like maybe a picture each page. So if you want to find something while you play the game, good luck in just not reading the whole thing, because sometimes it's here and sometimes it's there. And Capstone Games is usually making very good rulebooks. So this, like saying that it's not a bad rulebook.
No, I see what they've tried to do, but I think it just like compromises everything else. And like this backside icon reference, something here would have been nice, but like all in all in this rulebook, too few examples or icons and things to look at. You have to read all the texts.
Yes, and the rulebook is okay laid out, but it kind of annoys me because it's made by what is his name again? I don't remember his name. His name is Travis Hill, and he makes very good rulebooks. Travis makes great rulebooks. This is not the best rulebook I have read from him, but it's not a bad one. Like, it's bad to Capstone standard because they have very good rulebooks. So yes, it could be better, but it's not bad. I've heard that people don't like it, and I think it's fine.
Playtime and player count. We've played this with 3 and 4 players. 3 players took 3 hours, and 4 players took like 3.5 hours ish.
Yeah,
the box says 2 hours.
I don't think you can do that.
This is a heavy game.
I think you can do it if you like, but we don't need to talk about this because all hours on boxes are lies. Like basically 90% are, if you play the game with the same people 15 times, then you can play it at that time. It makes no sense. Why not just tell me what the game length is?
But I don't think because in the beginning you're sort of it's just 3 rounds. This is gonna go like this, and there's a lot of steps, and there is a lot of things to think about, and there's so much that you want to accomplish. So you feel like by the 3rd round you feel like you've begun to do a lot of stuff because it's like cascading, but you still wanna, like the 3rd round you're scraping these few resources to squeeze in some last things. So I don't think it's overstaying its welcome at all.
No, it's a long game with 4 players.
Yeah, it is.
I was thinking, before we started playing this, the first time we played with 3 players, I was like, I would like to play with more, because Wildcatters is a 4-player game. And that's it. Like, you can play 2 and 3 players, but you don't want to do that because then you need to have demo players. So I was thinking it's going to be, it's a 4 and 5 player game. Like you need to have those players. And we have played it the most with 3 players.
Yeah.
And I feel that's plenty tight. Like I feel we're going to talk more about the tightness and stuff like that in the gameplay section, which we're going to smoothly go into pretty soon. But I think 4 players, I think might be like better to get like the tightness and crunchiness of the game.
So tight with 3 as well. But you need to
have played it a bit more because 3.5 hours, a bit too long.
Yeah.
A bit more. You had the downtime. So that was 2 other players when we played 4 players had not played the game before.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be faster. If you are a group of players who get it and you played a lot, I don't think it's going to be a problem.
No.
I think playing 4, I don't see myself playing it with 5. And there's a couple of reasons. Mostly it's time because I don't see how it would add an extreme level of tightness to it, to the board, to everything. And that would also then tell me that it would also then add a more AP because there would be more things happening that would be like, oh, you did that. Okay, I have to think about my plan now. And so you would just add a lot more time and even more tightness to a game. I think it's tight enough with 3 and 4
Oh yeah, I thought it was tight enough with 3. And then we played it before, I'm just like, what is this? I had no coffee now. What is happening? And I really thought that it was fun at both player counts.
Yeah.
If you want it even tighter, I think like 4 is where it's at, but I think it's great with 3 players as well.
Yeah, and there is a 2-player variant. I don't see myself playing it.
No.
Like there's so many other great games to play with 2 players, and this like the more interactive the game is, usually you need that 3rd and 4th player to make it more interesting.
Yes.
So let's segue this neatly into gameplay, talking about all the stuff we like and might not like by playing the game, because playing the game is what we do when we play it.
Yeah, we tapped briefly into the round structure with the phases on your player board. I think that is a great way to make a game, basically.
Yeah, I enjoy that. Like that, as I always said, I like games like that because they're easier. Even though like there's a very like in many heavy games, like it's your turn now. You can do one of these 16 things, and then you have to choose one of the 16s, and then on a cascade. Here it's basically kind of still as hard, but when it's your turn now, depending on the phase, you only have a couple of of different choices. It's not that choice overload. It's not like it's your turn in phase road, and you have 64 spaces to choose between. In phase 1 you have 4 actions. In phase 2 there's no actions. In phase 3 you have 3 actions.
But I think that is really cool that you have 2 phases with basically worker place, like action selection, but you use different workers. And also there is like some loans you can take, which are really cool.
Oh yeah.
You can either like choose to have 1 worker for 1 phase, or 1 worker for the other phase, or 3 money that you have to like return. So each turn or each round you're basically like, okay, what do I think that I will miss the most? Those loans are really important because resources are super tight.
You don't have anything.
No, and you always have like not enough, and you sit there thinking, okay, what is the worst thing that I can be like empty of?
Yeah.
And you never have enough donkeys, you never have enough money, and just like, so those loans and which ones you're going to get, because you can take 2 of the 3. It's really important.
Each round, basically.
Yes, and you have to utilize that.
And just to like say how tight the game is, I know when I teach the game, there's this place where you can, when you go to harvest the different resources, and if one person does choose not to go to harvest somewhere, they will get 1 coin.
Yeah.
And people will be like, oh, what is 1 coin? 1 coin is huge. Like that can change the whole game for you, because maybe then you had 2 coins and now you can actually do an action.
Yeah.
And getting those coins, like getting money, getting everything.
Getting
like
everything.
There's a car you can get. That almost hasn't happened with anybody yet. We have gotten cars at the end of the round where you can't use them anymore. So getting a car, because when you use a car, when you place the plantations, you will then place donkeys, and there's like a 3-step thing. So you have the first step, the second and the third, and you need 1 donkey between the first and the second, and you need 2 donkeys between the second and the third. And it's hard to get those 3 donkeys, but if you get a car, you can skip from phase 1 or 2, from step 1 to step 3. I don't know how you are supposed to get that car. It's very hard to get the car.
Well, I almost got it. The one time I was so close, but I didn't get it.
You did not get the car.
No, I did not get it.
It's very hard. Everything is hard. Like there's nothing here that comes easy.
No, not at all. And sometimes it's very because sometimes it's the order that you do things in are crucial. I think that a very interesting thing is the buildings in this game, because in the second kind of phase to do actions,
you
could either go harvest,
contractor phase,
set yourself up for harvesting coffee.
It's called something. Just
or
continue.
Building buildings, and you can piggyback on both of those actions, and if you do it yourself you have to pay, but those buildings are a little hard to get the concept of the first time you play it, because they really don't do anything. Like sometimes you get some coffee, which can really change what you do and what you're able to do, but when you place it on the board it doesn't really do anything until the end of the game.
It just feels kind of different. Because there is usually in games when I build, I'm going to build this building over here because then I get this ability. Here it's not that. You don't usually do that. So it's kind of like in the middle of the first game I was like, what does this building do again? And I was like, it doesn't. Nothing.
It doesn't.
But you get a bonus for building it, which is huge. And then you also, if you build earlier, you'll be able to move on tracks, which is huge. So there's really, to build those buildings is like a big part of the game. And depending they do different things, but they don't do it. It feels different than most games where you build buildings for an ability or for getting something throughout the game.
And that's kind of the same with the the plantation as well, because I'm placing this 1 plantation, 2 plantation, and 3 value plantation, but they give it the same amount of coffee and they don't give it to me. It's whoever harvests there.
Yes.
So if I need some coffee in the brown area and nobody has built in the brown area, then no coffee for me, kinda. And so you want to kind of build where you need the coffee, but if you see everybody else going there, you don't really need to build anything there yourself. So separating those, like area majority in the end from the in-game value of things is a little hard.
And how that area majority works is basically that then the 3 value is better, because then that's 3 to winning the majority. So let's say I have a 3 and a 1 and a 1, that's going to be 5. And if you have a 2 and a 2 and a 1, you can count it's 5. And then the buildings that you build, which give you the bonus and then just sit there, they're going to count as 1 as well. And if you build a hospital, that's going to count as 2. There's just so many small tiny things.
But that is really cool. I like that.
Absolutely. So
it's
very nice because you said like the coffee you need, because in the beginning you get 6 contracts. You have A, B, C, D, E, F. The E and the F is basically going to be linked. So if you get like E2, you're going to get F2. But the A, B, C, D is going to be random to you. So you can look at all your contracts in the beginning of the game. And since the game is only 3 rounds, you will have to look at them and say like, okay, what coffee do I need the most of? And you have to start planning from the beginning of the game.
Yes.
Let's talk a bit about the piggybacking and doing the actions. Because when I do an action, I have to pay 2 coins. And this is one of the things that is very similar to Wildcatters, or not very similar, but also in Wildcatters you have that thing where I do something and you can just pay me a little bit. You don't have to pay the money of the workers to do it. You just have to join me and give me a little bit, so you also can do that action, which is really good. And here as well you have that. So when I do an action, I pay 2 coins to either go somewhere to harvest, or I will build a building. And then if I build a building somewhere, you can pay me a coffee to then build a building there. Or if I go somewhere to harvest, you can just also harvest there, but you're going to get probably less coffee then.
Yeah, both are good. Like, doing the action yourself is better because you can get first pick on where to build and what building, and also where to harvest coffee, and you get it first, which is really good. But money is super tight, so it's gonna be a natural balance there where you piggyback on something and you choose some of the actions yourself. And if you go to one place to harvest coffee, and I just like, I need that coffee, I can't go there later, so I have to piggyback on you.
Yeah.
But I love that piggyback action, and also that if I initiate building something, then you have to pay me coffee to become a part of that building.
Become a part of the building.
Yes.
That sounds really good. So yeah, those are basically like the different things in the game.
Yes.
It's been a while since we played Wildcatters, but I will say that this game feels a bit less interactive. Like it's still very interactive because everything, like if you do something, I can piggyback on it. Or if you build a plantation there, I don't have to because it's easy for me to get that coffee.
Yeah.
You have to do building it doesn't really give you anything until you actually go and harvest it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this interaction, a lot of these intricate things, but the interaction is still a big thing of the game.
Yes.
The variability of the game might not be the biggest, like the different strategies. Do you feel like there's, this time I'm going to do this thing and this time I'm going to do this thing?
No, it's going to be, I think you want to, because there's some final score, like, what do you call it, achievements
yes,
that you want to go for.
Something like that, yeah.
Those are really hard.
Yes.
But if you maybe choose one or two that you want to go for, I think that is very important, and some majority and some contracts that you want to go for, or the majority is in the coffee shops that you can sell to. So I think like if you go for some of that, that will take your playstyle in a certain direction, either to push for buildings or push for plantations or push for coffee shops.
For the tracks.
Yes, and I think that is the variability that I see that will change up, but also the interaction. What you do, what I do, what other people do.
As we talked about in other interactive games like this year, the more interaction there is in a game, the less the variability needs to kind of be there, because you will play differently depending on the other players. But here as well, you also, I said there wasn't that much variability, but you do have different contracts to kind of change up how you play, the milestones, and there is different paths to take. You can try to work very hard on moving on the tracks, but the thing is that you get points for almost everything. So you're trying to max out, and mostly the time when I to move on a track, I'm also allowed to do something else. It's not like, I'm going to do a track strategy, because everybody's going to move on tracks. Some's going to move more on tracks than others.
Yeah.
But it's just like you kind of need to do everything. You can't play the game without harvesting coffee. You can basically play the game without sending anything to the coffee shops. I don't know why you would, because those are some easy money, and in the beginning of the game you can't store a lot of coffee at the end of each round, so you can't just like, I'm going to take all the coffee and then don't spend it so I can get the big contracts. You can't do that if you haven't bought a lot of the warehouses so you can store more coffee. So it's hard to not do a bit of everything, I feel. If that's a negative or not, that depends on you. It's not for me, because it's so tight and hard, and the timing and the interaction. So I feel like we're segueing into the final thoughts.
Yeah, let's
do you want to begin?
Yes, I can do it. I think like this is a very nice game. I think it's so heavy. And that's why I like it, basically. I feel like this is a puzzle that I still want to crack. This is, when I play it, I have this, this is fun feeling that I always want to get, but I still like sitting, and when we played it yesterday, I got pulse, because I was so like nervous that one of the players could take that donkey on the track that I wanted, and I was just like sitting like, no, because if you do that, like everything on my plan crumbles, and because it's so tight, and it's just like gives me like all the fun feelings when I play it. I don't know if it will hold up as well, for example, as Wildcatters, like in the long run, but right now I'm enjoying it a lot. I think this might be one of the best heavy games that we've played so far this year, and I'm gonna give it an 8.5. It's very, very good.
Awesome. I like the game. I think it's good. I don't get that, I love this feeling while I played it, but I do have a very good time. I think the reason I don't get that is because the game is so heavy that I just don't have time to be happy. I just have time to be thinking and breaking my brain trying to find out how to do anything.
It's very frustrating.
Without, like, there's not many, like, it's hard to compare, but it's also hard not to compare with it being the second design from the same designers. I think for me, Wildcatters is still a better game. But this is so different, so it's not like, but then again, if I have time, like I said, do I want to play Wildcatters or Coffee Traders, it might be Wildcatters. But that might also just be because I haven't played it in a while, so it's very hard to say.
But if I would play something 3 players, this would be it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because you have to be 4 players, not 8. 4 players for Wildcatters. I think it's a very solid game. I think it's a good, heavy game. I think there's different things to do. I think the interaction is interesting. I love that it's so good with 3 players, even though it's an area majority thing. All that is so tense and so good, even with only 3 players, and that is very, very good. Because I was not sure it would be very good with 3 players when we played it. We played it a couple of times, 3 players, and then like when we played it again, I was like, it's still super tight.
Yeah.
And you because I think maybe if you're like a super good at a game, it might be less tighter, feel less tighter with 3, but it's still a very good game. I'm gonna give it an 8. I think it's a very good game. If you are into heavy Euros, absolutely check this out.
Yes.
If you're not into heavy Euros, this might not be for you.
Yeah.
If you are still here and you have not subscribed, you can do so now by
clicking the subscribe button.
It's free and it's fun for everyone. If you want to do something that's not free but still fun, you can support us on patreon.com/boardgamingramblings. And that's the end of another review. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Johannes.
I'm Cinema.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye bye.